welcome to this bonus show from Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway. And thanks to our mates at Sky, tonight we bring you all the action from our final night of the season. And it's our Legends Night, where we salute some of the great races from the past and look towards the future as well. Thanks to Carter's for bringing us the action tonight. And we thought we'd kick things off where it all really starts. The legends of tomorrow that are the Kiwi kids. And here's Alistair Wooten with more on those guys.
Thanks very much, Nick. For so many races here at Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway, this right here is where it begins. This is the foundation for all great open wheel races. The Kiwi Kids Quarter Midgets teaches you racecraft. It teaches you the nuts and bolts of what's required here as a race driver. And coming up next is the final heat race for the Kiwi Kids Quarter Midgets.
This one is in honour of our 201st midget car and sprint car feature winner, Michael Pickens. The Kiwi Kids heat race number 3, 8 laps the distance. It's Keanu Ware off the front row with Jack Haslam. Who's going to charge off in this one here? Keanu Ware has been on fine form all night, as has the 11 of Jack Haslam. They're going to duke it out and run this one off the front. Luke Smith in there as well. So keep an eye on Lucas Smith running in that 3rd spot. Dean Thompson in there in the 4th spot after that little tumble early on here tonight. So these drivers, foot flat to the floor, perfect track conditions here. Plenty of drive for the Kiwi Kids Quarter Midgets. But at the moment it's the 54, it's looking pretty promising. 8 laps to run here, the distance. Watch out, the 11 is starting to wind up and build some momentum. Jack Haslam, can he deliver the goods? It's going to take a few laps here for these drivers to build some momentum. And just as we say that, Deegan Thompson finds his way trying to work around the outside of Lucas Smith for that 3rd spot. So watch and see how this battle on screen at the moment prevails at the moment. Clean, fast racing for these 2 young drivers. The Quest Fabrication machine versus the All-Tech Turbochargers. Hostings Trailers machine down into Penrite turn number 3 and 4. Thompson still on the outside and hanging tough there. What a great battle here for the Century Batteries Kiwi Kids Quarter Midgets. A little bit further back, then we go back to the number 77 Yale machine of Inslee. And then there's the family association, the Johnny and Misson grandchild connection there. And that's the number 58 of Cody Lineham there in that beautifully presented number 58 purple machine. But with only 2.5 laps left to run, Keanu Ware and Jack Haslam have already started to stretch their legs. They've got a decent gap between Luke Smith and Deegan Thompson now. So what are we going to see? We've got one stop down on the infield at Midas turn number 1, right on that pole line. So that brings out the yellow flag. So that's going to close up the Kiwi Kids Quarter Midgets with only a couple of laps left to run. It's Keanu Ware that's going to lead them down to take the restart here, and that Century Batteries number 54. Watch out, Deegan Thomas is on a mission, gets a great run down into Midas turn number 1. Watch out, here comes the 11. Jack Haslam right around the outside, and we've got the 51 up and over, and that's Catherine Gaspar. Shock tower on Keanu Ware's car sounds like it's broken is the message that we've got. Looks all right from where I'm standing. And Keanu Ware hang tough and fend off Jack Haslam with green, white checkered left to run here for the Century Batteries. Kiwi Kids Quarter Midgets, here comes that battle. Jack Haslam around the outside. Can he hang there and run around the outside? And in fact he is, and he gets that momentum. Is that damage to the suspension componentry of the Century Batteries number 54? Enough to drop back into the clutches of Lucas Smith and Deegan Thompson as well. But at this point in time, Keanu Ware seems that he's actually got a handle of that race car. But unfortunately, it's just enough to allow Jack Haslam to get his legs stretched. But watch out, just as we say that, Keanu Ware is building that momentum. Can he get a run and run around the outside? What's that say about the suspension componentry on the Kiwi Kids Quarter Midgets? He's proven a point, isn't just holding up the front end of that car, I'd say so. But the winner of the Century Batteries Kiwi Kids Quarter Midgets, Jack Haslam. The KHP Jack Haslam takes out your win here for the Michael Pickens Kiwi Kids Legends Heat race number 3, Keanu Ware, after leading that from green almost to checkered.
Jack, well done. I don't suppose you realise, but Kiana had a problem with his car. The left front shock absorber was broken and his car was dragging on the ground. It certainly gave you the momentum to get past.
Yeah, I just stuck it around the outside, the third to fourth. But yeah, I'd like to thank Mum, Dad, P, Rod, just the EV crew for helping me out. My main sponsor, KHP Builders, Diggerman Limited, Outward Drainage, and just everyone, thank you for coming out tonight.
A great race for the Kiwi kids, and looking at the stars of the future. It's a great way to begin the development through the classes here at Western Springs Speedway. And another class that's got some great traction, if you'll excuse the pun, is the F2 midget class. And let's take a look at their feature from our Legends Night.
So as we roll out for the last of the F2 races here tonight at Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway for the Bill Buckley F2 feature race, brought to you by Racer Products. Off the front row is going to be Bruce James for HLR Racing, with Michael Stock in the 81 M2 on the outside of him. Then we go back to Tim Pipes in the 19A with Matt Heim out of 4 in the 23. Then we go back to Bo Paget in the 37 out of grid position number 5 with Shaden Austin in the 91 A2 out of 6. As the AMROC is off the racetrack and we get set to turn them loose here for 15 laps for the Bill Buckley F2 midget feature as we head across the chalk for the last time this season for the F2s, as we've got one around. And Committee finds himself around down on the start-finish straightaway. So we'll be full yellow and back to original grids. As we check out a full replay, we've got Pinkerton right down on the pole line. And Committee gets into Devon George. Then that leaves a few of the drivers caught out. So it was all around that Devon George, Nico Pinkerton, Sam Committee sort of region. So as we get set to turn them loose, once again, full original grids here for the Bill Buckley F2 midget feature, 15 laps. It's Bruce James off the front row with his teammate Tim Pipes in third position, and we've got up and over, not quite, but Adam Davis finds himself into the wall, and it looks like the right rear on that car's collapsed. So all kinds of action. Carlos Stone caught up in that as well, but the 17 of Bruce James has already got himself a little bit of a gap there on the 81 as well. So Tim Pipes, his teammate, settled into third. At the moment, Nico Pinkerton right behind him there. Then we go back to the 91. Matt Hyman there along with Devon George as well. That's that battle for around the 5th, 6th, 7th position. So that's where we keep our attention at the moment. It's Bruce James out front at the moment. Then it's the 81. Michael Stock in there. Then we go back a little bit further to the 91. Shaden Austin hanging tough there. It looks like those drivers in 2nd and 3rd have got a few more legs than what that of Bruce James does. Matt Heim looking strong in 4th now as we see the number 19. Oh, we've got all sorts of action out front, and Stock finds his way around the outside of Bruce James. So as we predicted, it does look like those drivers have got more legs, and both of them now run high side around Bruce James. Is Bruce James in trouble? Because now Matt Heim, the rookie, finds himself running high line around the outside. He's going to pull up alongside him and run high side and makes contact with the right rear, but Matt Heim capitalized on the 91 running right up against the wall. So it's Bruce James back into the 2nd spot, but here comes the 67. Who saw it coming? Nico Pinkerton gets his way up into the 3rd spot. But the drivers in the 91 and the 23 have worked this racetrack out. At the moment, we go 3 wide down into minus turn number 1 with 9 laps left to run. This is where the heated battle is at the moment for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Still the 81 way out front. That's Michael Stock. He's got a half a length of the straightaway on Bruce James. Pinkerton with a slider up the inside now. Then we go back to the 91. Shaden Austin there in 3rd. Bruce James, he gets up the inside of Bruce James. Matt Heim, oh, we've got one around. And it's Bruce James goes round at Penrite, turn number 3 in the B&T HLR machine. So we've got a full replay. So there's the 17 of Bruce James going round. Matt Heim, so lucky. So lucky. Devon George, Corbin Anderson, later Kendall. James Earl, the lurker on the outside. That man on screen. Let's wait and see. He made the start of this race out of grid position number 16. He's getting the hard charger award at this point in time. Elbows up, and we go green with 8 laps left to run for the F2 feature as we've got Stock almost up in the wall. And he goes from 1st back to about 15th position. Nico Pinkerton finds himself into the lead now with the 91 right in behind. James Earl now up into third, Matt Hyman fourth, Devin George fifth, and Corbin Anderson having started off the second to last row. Finds his way through, so Nico Pinkerton at this point in time looks like he's got the measure of the 91 of Shaden Austin at this point in time. James Earl in there, as is Matt Hyman. Who's going to throw the slider? Who's going to show their hand first and foremost? We've got Devin George right up against the wall there, just out of shot. So James Earl fancies his chances, getting up the inside. Shaden Austin down at minus turn number 1 and 2. Austin collecting that grass down there in that BT Memorial Tribute machine. 5 laps left to run. Here comes the slider out of that Drasovic panel meters. Number 15, he gets there. Can he make it stick? Right up against the pit gate and almost sends himself into the wall. Right up against that moisture, down into minus Penrite turn number 3 and 4 was James Earl. Loses a little bit of momentum. Then we go back to Matt Hyman, Corbin Anderson. Anderson started out in grip position number 10, so he's on his way forward. He's passed 5 cars, but as he gets close to the front, the competition gets fiercer and fiercer with only 3 laps left to go. Pinkerton still our leader. Then we go back to Shaden Austin, James Earl, Matt Hyman 4th, Corbin Anderson 5th, and Layden Kendall, having started off the back road, now up into 6th with 2 laps left to run. No one at the moment has anything for Nico Pinkerton. He's got a big gap back to the second place man of Austin. Doesn't look like James Earl has got any more that he can throw at Shaden Austin. There's after going to be something special or an incident before we see any more passes here, as the white flag is out for this man on screen, the 67. And just as we say that, we've got one up and over, and it's the Matthews man in the 8A2 Tiger Turf machine. So given the circumstances there with the Matthews number 8A2 being up and over due to being the last lap, we've ended up pulling the checkered flag out. It's going to be Pinkerton, our winner from the 91 BT Memorial car of Carlos Stone. Then James Earl in 3rd, Matt Hyman with a great drive in 4th, Corbin Anderson 5th, and Layden Kendall having worked his way up from 18th up into 6th spot. So down with our winner, Graham Standring. Nico Pinkerton takes out the Racer Products F2 feature, honouring the work that Bill Buckley has put into getting this class off the ground and the success that it is. Down to you, Graham Standring.
You had to work hard for it there for a while?
Yeah, it was quite tough starting from the back. Obviously, the top qualifier pulled the 20 invert, so being 3rd top qualifier, we started 15th, so made it hard, so yeah.
No, very, very good drive. Corbin Anderson had dropped a cylinder. I expected him to come through with you, but excellent drive, well done. So that's your, how many feature wins is that?
First one in the F2.
First feature win. You got another 200 to go to beat Michael Pickens, so good luck with that. Welcome back to another edition of Know Your Speedway. Here's another question that I'm asked all the time is, why, when I refer to the stagger on wheels, which is the difference between the left and the right hand side, when I refer to the offset of the cars, do I call it in inches? Well, here's the answer. The sport is basically an American sport, and the Americans still operate under the imperial system. So as an example, I'll just find something here. Here you go. This is a chassis setup block, and everything in here is in inches. So we still refer to it in inches. The nuts and bolts on the car are SAE and NFF, so we still refer to everything as inches. The only part of Speedway at Western Springs and around the world is the TQ section, where they use Japanese engines, and of course the Japanese have made the switch to a metric. And that's another edition of Know Your Speedway.
Hey everyone, Brad Rosen here at Legends Night. Welcome along, it's good to see the crowd back. Back when I was younger, the legend that I always used to look up to was my uncle Gary Davey. He was a really good midget TQ and sprint car driver in his day. And yeah, he was a huge part of getting me started in my career. So he's an absolute legend, and hope everyone has a good night back here at the track tonight.
Well, we've just seen the quarter midgets, or the Kiwi kids as they're known, where they learn aspects of racecraft. The next development for the young drivers is usually into the TQ section, or 3/4 midgets. This is where they really hone their skills and their racecraft. Now, let's go to the grids from Ali for the Johnny Misson TQ Memorial Feature Race.
So for the Johnny Misson TQ feature here off the front row, it's going to be Sol Smith in the 32A with Dylan Cook in the 8A, starting on the outside of him out of 2. Then we go back to the second row with Cole Morrison in the 36A and Harry Hodgson on the outside of him in the 19A out of 4. Out of grid position number 13 will be Kate Grushinsky in the 25A with Royden Crawford in the ex-Baker Motorsport car out of 14.
We have a quick thing to pull for the TQs. Yes, if this man can come and sit down. Tonight, the TQs, Johnny Misson TQ feature. I have with me Ovi Misson, Johnny Misson's son. So it's the son of a legend tonight, and I understand there's a family connection that continues the legacy tonight at Western Springs Speedway.
Yes, we've got a grandson who's taken it upon himself to have a go at Speedway. So the quarter midgets have another little fellow.
How good is that? There's a tradition, though, in the family where you told me that your dad wouldn't let you use the Misson name. So who do we look out for? It's not going to be Misson.
Cody.
Cody.
Young
So
Cody, yeah.
Looking out for young Cody in the Kiwi kids as the seasons go on. We've got another champion in the making.
So as we get set for 15 laps for the Johnny Misson TQ midget feature, 15 laps the distance. Sol Smith, Dylan Cook is your front row as we get set to turn them loose. They're across the chalk and we are green for the final feature here of the season at Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway. On the outside, Dylan Cook tries to prevail. Sol Smith knocks wheels down at Midas turn number 2. They're still side by side. The NZHL man right up the inside. Sol Smith with a half spin allows Troy Pennington through on the inside. We got plenty of action. Sol Smith in that purple number 32 had one little incident and he's dropped 4 or 5 spots. So Cook out front of that Metro Life roofing machine. Troy Pennington with his elbows up. He's now up into the second spot. The 36 of Cole Morrison now up into the third spot. And here comes the hard-charging Peter Honeybell already up into the 4th spot. These drivers are ticking off the laps well and truly. Pennington not giving any breathing space to Cook. He's right up on the back of that tail tank. Now finds a run on the outside. Cook knows that he's there now. He just rubs up on the inside. Cook gets high and wide, bikes all on his own. No contact, but he's lost 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots with that own little incident all of his own. So Troy Pennington, our new leader in that Placemakers Cook Street machine, doing a great job. So what can we see? We know Pennington has had his elbows up the last few nights here at the Springs. He's a driver that is just building momentum. He's competed over in the US as well, so he's got plenty of experience, this young 19-year-old out of Auckland. And he's got a point to prove with half a distance at the moment. Still looking at Cole Morrison running in 2nd spot. Regan Tyler in 3rd. Scotty Baker now up into the 4th spot. Peter Honeybell still sitting in that 5th position. Already a couple of spots up, but watch out. Scotty Baker is coming, ladies and gentlemen. With only 6 laps left to go. He started out 9th. He was our highest point scorer. With that inverted grid, Regan Tyler now gets back up the inside, denying Scotty Baker that position, but we all know how fast those Baker-prepared race cars are, so it's not going to go up without a fight as Baker gets back up the inside. While this battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th is going on, that is allowing the 4A machine of Troy Pennington to stretch his legs with only 5 laps left to go for our man. Make that 4 laps left to go. So Scotty Baker not only gets around Regan Tyler, but he's also now trying to run high side around the man in the 36. That's Cole Morrison and that Bearing Supplies. Number 36, and they all touch down there, down at Penrite, turn number 3 and 4. But with 3 laps left to run at the moment, you can't deny Troy Pennington. He's done everything he needed to do. He's also dealt with the lap traffic of the 77 Collins Auto Electrical number 77 getting in there as well. So just to make things a little bit more exciting, Scotty Baker is right on the back of these drivers, both of them fighting back and denying him that position. So a white flag is out for our leader, Troy Pennington. in the Placemakers Cook Street machine. He's driven the wheels off this machine, having started out of the third row. And we've got Baker up and over, down at minus turn number 1. And that is going to bring out the yellow, but they've brought out the chequered flag, and the win, nonetheless, is going to go to Troy Pennington. Number 4A, Troy Pennington, with an absolute sensational drive here tonight for the Johnny Misson TQ feature, taking the win here. Regan Tyler with a superb drive, also in second. Cole Morrison with a hard-fought battle there with Scotty Baker will come home in third. Scott Baker gets gifted the 4th spot, even though of that tumble down there with only 1 lap to go. Peter Honeybow in 5th, and Sol Smith rounding out your top 6.
Troy, that was fantastic. I saw you earlier in the night. Your car was on, looking really good. You were running around the outside and stuff. Tell me what went through your mind when you're running in second and the car in front of you made a mistake.
Yeah, that hole down there is absolutely nasty, and my car was just able to drive straight through it, which I was happy with, but yeah, I saw Dylan just smoked it, and my life flashed before my eyes because I thought I was going to hit him, but yeah.
Yeah, you haven't had the form that you'd probably have liked this season, but certainly capped it off on the last night.
Yeah, this season has probably been my toughest year of racing. You know, we just had so many bad things happen, just bad luck, but this tops it off, just makes it all worth it, and a massive thanks has to go to Dave Jick, Tim Clark, Dad, Placemakers Cook Street, Burger King, Logic Print, Mainline Construction, and everyone who gets me racing every weekend.
Hi everyone, Jamie McDonald here, and welcome to the Legends Night here at Western Springs. One of the legends I always aspired to and used to love watching on the track was Ted Tracy in his number 5 midget.
Hi there, welcome to another edition of Know Your Speedway. Question I get asked is, how do I get into the sport? Well, there's an easy way to get into the sport. Firstly, you buy a car. That's pretty simple, but from that point on, you become a part of the mentor program. The mentor program involves being observed and advised by experienced, usually retired drivers. In the mentor program, you get assistance on how to drive, what to do, what not to do, etc., etc. But also, you start the first 3 meetings from the rear of the field, and you have a ribbon on your car. So this denotes that you're in the mentor program, and the more experienced drivers that you're racing with at the time have a chance to watch out for you. But after 3 meetings, you can grit up and become part of the show. So that's how you get into Speedway. What we're doing at the moment was we're driving around the track with Michael Pickens on board, and I'd like everybody to acknowledge this absolutely amazing feat of winning 200 feature races. So put your hands together, but in the meantime, we're going to be interviewing Michael. But first of all, before we start that, I just want to tell you, in my opinion, what makes Michael Pickens so good. I asked him to tell you, and obviously he didn't want to be embarrassed by saying these things. Michael is a talented individual. Michael has worked very, very hard at his racing career. He's done it since for nearly 25 years now. He's been able to put together 7 championships, Australian National Championship. He is absolutely going to be the greatest midget car driver of all time. But the one thing that stands out for Michael, for me, is that he is a crowd favourite, and also his ability to put together people, the right people for the job at the right time. So, Michael, it's absolutely fantastic to hear. Everybody, Michael Pickens, say hi, and this is his little daughter. What's her name? Montana. Montana. So, first time on the back of the truck for Montana. Michael, outstanding achievement. The words can't describe it. Just tell us before we get too far around, what has helped you. I mentioned before that it's your ability to put a team together, put people together. Just tell us a little bit about that for us.
Team's everything. You know, it's just like running a successful business. People are everything, and I've been fortunate enough to have those right people around me my whole entire career, and you wouldn't get 200 wins without the right people.
Yeah, and the right people started right from the beginning when your dad bought your first midget car, etc., etc., etc. And there's some special people that I'm sure you'd like to mention in that.
Yeah, obviously my dad started my career, allowed me to, and you know, I wouldn't be here without him, of course. And you know, Brett from Seamount Racing, he picked me from an early stage of my career and gave me to, I guess, prove myself. And I've had numerous car owners all over the world, for that matter, that have nurtured me along the way and to, you know, to get the wins that I've got, and it's a credit to all the people that have helped me so far.
Welcome back to the quarter mile here on Sky from Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway, and it's our Legends Night, and we're down to our 2 star classes here at the Springs. Up next, it's the Barry Butterworth Classic Midget feature.
So our grids for the Barry Butterworth Midget feature. Off the front row is going to be our inverted top 20. Carl McGill off the front in the 97P with Ryan Barry in the 16A on the outside of him. Troy Jeffries in the 46A will be starting out of grid position 3 with Ben Committee in the 84A out of 4. Cole Robinson will be starting out of grid position number 5 in the number 99 with Jaden Worthington in the 91M on the outside of him out of 6. Jordan McDonnell will be starting out of grid position number 13 in the number 34 with Mitch Fabish in the 67S out of 14. Peter Honeybell will be starting out of 15 in the number 39A. And then Aaron Hodgson, our fast man in the Carter's Tire Machine, he'll be starting out of 16 in the number 35A. Max Guilford in the Tribute number 91 BT car, he'll be starting out of 17 with Brock Maskovich in the 5A, he'll be starting out of 18. Michael Pickens, our 201st feature winner. Can he bring home another one here tonight? Starting out of grid position number 19 in the number 54. Brad Mosen, our highest point scorer with our inverted top 20. He'll be starting out of grid position number 20 in the 10A. And then promoter's choice here for the Barry Butterworth Midget feature here tonight, Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway. Midge Osborne will be starting out of grid position number 21.
I just want to give you a little bit of history about the midget car section. Been around for a long time. We had some legends there. Rolly Crowther was one of them, and guys like that back in the day. Now, up until 10 years ago, all the midget car features used to start fastest from the back. And so that's what made it probably a little more difficult in the Butterworth era and things like that to accumulate the amount of features. Now we copy almost the American format where the midget cars start fastest from the front. Barry Butterworth would have turned in his grave if the Barry Butterworth Memorial had started fastest from the front. I can tell you that for nothing. He would absolutely love the fact that it's going to be fastest from the back. He used to say, "Dad, you ain't driven a midget till you've driven it from the back of the field." So here we go, fastest from the back.
So, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. As we slot these drivers back into their track position, we've got Cole Robinson down here on the infield in between the pit entry and pit exit gate. So, it's a flat left rear tyre for Cole Robinson. So, flat, sad-looking Hoosier there on the inside left rear of that machine.
So these tyres, they only got a very thin sidewall, not much thicker than what's on a push bike tyre, and they run them at about, on the left rear, about 4 to 5 pounds pressure. So it's pretty easy, even though when they're rolling around they look quite flat, it's pretty easy for them to just snag something, touch another car and get a puncture like that. The outside tyre, the right rear tyre, runs at about 11 to 12 pounds pressure, and the front tyre's around 12 to 14 pounds pressure. So very lucky to be able to get it done under the 2-minute bell period time. So he's set to go. The tyre even looks like it's got a crinkle in the sidewall. Until it warms up, the pressure, when the tyre gets hot, it'll increase in pressure marginally. So lucky for Cole to get away there.
As we get set to turn them loose for the Barry Butterworth midget car feature here tonight, 30 laps is the distance. It's McGill and Committee off the front row. Who's going to get the jump? It's the 2 young guns. Lead them down to Midas turn number 1. Here comes Jaden Worthington down on the inside line. Makes his way up into the 2nd spot in the NZMT machine. But we keep our eyes a little bit further back as McGill goes round. And we've got all kinds of carnage down here at Penrite turn number 3 and 4. Starting off the front, he was leading down into Penrite turn number 3 and all on his own. Got in there hard and fast and just went in all on his own. And you can see the action unveil in front of them as it happened as well. There was cars darting left, right and centre. So the lights are out around Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway for the Barry Butterworth midget car feature. 30 laps the distance. It's Jeffries and Committee off the front row. Committee gets off to a great start, leaves Jeffries behind. But watch out, here comes the 99 of Robinson. Up the inside, it's a HLR train coming through. Watch out, Burgess is in there, but Committee will lead us through the first lap. 1 lap in the books here for the Barry Butterworth Memorial feature here at Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway. 1 lap in the books. Let's keep an eye on some of these fast drivers making their way from the back to the front. We've got Hayden Williams in there in the 25 in the mid-pack. And that ex-Aaron Hodgson machine. Let's wait and see what the reigning 1NZ can deliver here tonight. Caleb Curry with a slider up the inside of Jaden Worthington. So we keep our eyes set on this battle at the moment. For the minor positions at this point in time, drivers trying everything, high side, low side, any side that they can make work to try and fight their way forward. At the moment, the likes of Pickens and Mosen aren't making too many inroads, so those drivers no doubt will be relying on cautions, yellow flags, and incidents from their competitors a little bit further up. And just as we say that, action all the way through, and Michael Pickens and Mosen are caught up in that as well.
I'm going to have a quick word with Aaron. Aaron, unlucky again tonight. What happened?
I'm not too sure. It's probably people up front that shouldn't be up there, and it's just a
Tangled up.
Yeah, it's just a concertina effect, and yeah, unfortunately, it ruins a whole bunch of good cars that probably shouldn't be ruined.
And lights are out around Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway. It's going to be Alec Insley and Committee off the front row, and the green flag is waving. Alec Insley just losing a little bit of ground to the 99 and allows Committee to get through, but watch out, here comes the 11. Greenway man of Caleb Curry on a mission, and the man following him through is the man that used to drive the 1NZ. He's now in the 25M. That's Hayden Williams running in fourth. So at the moment, the hard charges, definitely Hayden Williams and Caleb Curry making their way to the front. At the moment, Brad Mosen, Michael Pickens, those names not quite getting to the front. But remember, there's still 25 laps left here to run for the Barry Butterworth Memorial Race. And just as we say that, Williams now gets up the inside of the rookie and the King TRD Yale machine. That's Alec Insley. But at the moment, the dominant force is the 84 of Ben Committee out front. And that SR11 power machine, as we see Williams throws the slider on the youngster. He fights back. Alec Insley is not afraid of that car. But here comes the reigning 1NZ man, and that Lucas Oil, number 25M. Here comes Williams. Definitely looks like a decent amount of right side drive in the 25M. We see that right rear tyre pulled all the way in to try and generate as much side bite as possible. So Williams has worked his way forward from the 10th position, gets up the inside of Committee, slides up across the front of him, does so nicely, and finds the 25M into the lead. So Pickens, the first of the guns, working his way forward. He's now finding a little bit more pressure, a little bit more competition from some of the other hard charges. The 91 BT of Max Guilford is leading the charge. Pickens gets right in behind the tail tank of that car. Hayden Williams is checked out from this one. He's almost got the length of the start-finish straight ahead of Ben Committee in the 84. And it's Caleb Curry in third. Then we come back to Max Guilford. Michael Pickens now gets up the inside of Alec Insley. Alec Insley, team cars here to Michael Pickens and Brock Maskovich, identical packages. So remembering, this is halfway distance. So with $1,000 going to Hayden Williams at this point in time. And just as we say that, we've got one around down at Midas turn number 2, and that's Mitch Osborne. So we have another crack at this restart with Williams and Ben Committee off the front. Williams goes early. Watch that high line. Here comes Maskovich. Here comes Mosen, top shelf. Maskovich makes 3 moves on that restart and finds himself up into third. Jumps his brother-in-law, jumps Mosen. So move Maskovich up into third. He's dialed in those shots like Graham said, and he is fast. But watch out, here comes Pickens. Pickens now trying to get up the inside of the Magnum Motors, number 5A. Caleb Curry still hanging on to that second spot. Hayden Williams checked out. He's got a little bit of breathing space between himself and the Greenway, number 11 of Caleb Curry. Mosen now is our 5th place man. Max Guilford running in the 6th spot. So as we always see, the fast guys always finding their way to the front. We've got a damaged Nerf bar on the right-hand side of the 67 of Mitch Fabish. So we'll keep an eye on that and see what happens with the officialdom there, whether we call that car off. But at the moment, no one has anything for our leader. And we stay with this battle here. It's Caleb Curry, it's Maskovich, it's Pickens from Mosen, from Max Guilford. 12 laps left to run. Looks like at this point Williams has got it in the bag. So the brother-in-law is not letting Pickens by. Just as we say that, we all have a half spin down here from Kenny Roberts down in Penrite turn number 3 and 4. Doesn't eventuate to anything. But just as we say that, Hayden Williams now finds himself almost on the tail tank of Cal McGill. So lap traffic is going to come into play here for our leader. So we keep an eye on this battle, but we drop back to our leader, Hayden Williams. In the lap traffic, here he is, Williams on McGill. Now Cole Robinson in there as well, as is Jaden Worthington. 3.5 laps left to run. What are we going to see? Is this going to throw this wide open? We're going to have to wait and see as Williams runs top shelf around Jaden Worthington. So the experience of Hayden Williams, all that overseas racing in the US over our winter, shows that the racecraft is absolute class out of our reigning 1NZ. 2 laps left to go as we see the second place man of Caleb Curry gets up the inside of McGill, throws the slider, makes it stick. As our leader, Hayden Williams, takes the white flag. 1 more lap left to run for the man on screen. Cole Robinson doesn't want to go a lap down. He's putting up a fight. Hayden Williams sneaks up the inside, throws the slider, and Hayden Williams takes out the Barry Butterworth Memorial here tonight at Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway. Ladies and gentlemen, your results here for the Barry Butterworth Memorial. Hayden Williams takes the win from Caleb Curry, Brock Maskovich, Michael Pickens in 4th, Mosen 5th, Max Guilford in 6th.
The tyre just started blistering, so he's pretty lucky he had the lead that he had. So, yeah, also, don't forget, thank you very, very much to the Seamount organisation, Brett and Lee Morris, for the extra prize money they contributed to the race. Hayden, man, that was quite a drive. You got to the front pretty quick and then quickly checked out. There was a real race for second place. Caleb Curry was second, third was Brock Maskovich, but the guys were coming, but they had nothing for you.
Yeah, that car drove itself around the track. Obviously, it's a brand new car to me. I've never driven it before. It drives a whole lot different to mine, but man, it's got some grip. This engine's a whole lot better, Slinger Engineering. This is actually last year's engine, so no, I'm stoked, man. But we've worked all year. Haven't had the results that we should be showing, and it's a credit to the whole team.
You're watching the quarter mile here on Sky, and it's one last race. And we wind up the season at Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway on our Legends Night, and saluting Noel Goodwin. This is the sprint cars as the Winged Warriors take to the track.
It's going to be Raymond Griffin off the front row with Richard Battersby on the second row. It's going to be Lance Beale on the 87A with Zachary Sokal, the rookie, out of 4. Starting out at grid position number 13 will be the 11 USA Dalton's man, Jonathan Allard, and on the outside of him, the man who took out the Invitational, Dean Cooper, in the 84P. He'll be out of 14. Then we go back to the final row, Michael Pickens in the 1NZ, and on the outside of him will be the Rearfield starter, Havard Daniels, in the 9A. As we get set to take the green for the Noel Goodwin sprint car feature, 30 laps is the distance here. It's Ray Griffin and Richard Battersby off the front row, and we turn them loose for 30 laps, and we've got contact in the wall. It all started Zachary Sokal, and we've got one up and over, and it's the man that Nick Brown picked, and it's the 88K of Darm. So full action replay here, brought to you by J.A. Russell, checking out the Valvoline car. So there's contact with Beale into Sokal. That then triggers the contact with Darm. And then it's a train reaction. We see the car, Rob Vasey, skating across the infield as we do that with Allard and Havard Daniels as well. Watch the blue HLR car, the B&T car, drive up the racetrack. It walks wide, makes contact with the left-hand side of Zachary Sokal's car, And then that's a train reaction that then heads off into Keaton Dam, and then chain reaction completely.
Yeah, I'm down here with the Brindle car at the moment. Only minimal damage, it would appear. A little bit of bend on the front wing, but what seems to have stopped him in the race is this torsion arm here. The torsion arm should be on top of the axle supporting the car. It looks like it's on the spline, and therefore let that down. So there's no left front suspension in the car. Too long a race to try and manage it to the end. But as I said before, the Aussie Sokol car, or the Sokol car, the number 47 car, flat left rear tyre. I'm just looking at the Jamie Larson car here at the moment. Substantial damage to the left side of the wing, and the front axle's badly bent also. So we've got a bit of a situation there. We've got quite a bit of damage to the steering arm and the front axle beam and the torsion bar.
So as we get set to turn them loose for 30 laps here, it's Ray Griffin off the front with Richard Battersby. We take the green, and it's going to be Ray Griffin that leads us down into Midas turn number 1 on the restart. There's contact with Rob Vasey and Battersby's up and over, crumpling that top wing of that car. It's the 35 and the 99 getting together, and already Jonathan Allard's already pulling himself out of that car. He's unhappy about it. As we check out a replay, watching the 35 get into the outside of the Penrite number 99 at Battersby, that causes that chain reaction. Almost getting caught up, and it was Jamie McDonald, almost Michael Pickens as well. Pickens goes round. Beale manages to somehow sneak through there, pushes the cars wide. We see Vasey just climbs into the right rear of Battersby. It was almost a misjudgment of knowing that the car was actually right there, and there's that contact with Jonathan Allard and Rob Vasey as well. Western Springs crash crew doing a great job to get over to those cars and get to the driver's safety, as we see the 1NZ CRC machine of Pickens getting ready to be pushed off once again. And there's that car of Dam. That's a very sad looking front end on the 88K Valvoline machine there of Keaton Dam. So as we see the bunker, it's getting fuller by the minute as we see Mr. Angry of James Dam down here in front of the commentary booth with damage to the Z Energy front wing on that Hydrolink number 6K. So they're going to try and get that car restarted, and we're going to have to wait and see if Speedway New Zealand officials allow that car to keep running. But we're going to keep this event running. Jonathan Allard's back into the car, and it looks like they're going to restart the 11 USA man. So it doesn't look like there was actually any sizable damage down there on the 11 USA, Graham.
I'm with Keaton Dam at the moment. Keaton, that was pretty unlucky. It looks like substantial damage to your car.
Yeah, it's fairly totaled. I think the chassis is okay, but, you know, we'll strip the whole thing down and have to rebuild. So, real shame. I thought we probably had a pretty good chance there and get boxed in, and there's a crash in front of you. You can't really do much, but I think the crash itself is just totally unnecessary. You know, you can't start in grid 3 and think that you're clear to go up to the wall. You know, that's... The guy has racecraft. He's raced midgets for years, and I don't know what's going on in that guy's brain, but that's no good, man. You're just tearing up cars for no reason.
Yeah, it's not much fun having destroyed cars. Look, certainly hope you get it back together and have better luck next season.
Yeah, thanks very much. And just want to thank all of our partners that help on this car, all of our crew guys, and every sponsor that puts dollars into this sport. Thanks a lot, because this year and the last couple of years it has been terrible for a lot of amateur and semi-professional sports. So thanks to all the sponsors, and thanks to all the fans tonight as well.
Once you get out of the car, you're deemed to have retired, and if you've retired, you are out. So,
yep. So
if that's the case, then that's the case.
We've just got word, Graham, that that's exactly what happened. So he took off his belts, tried to climb out of the car, and for that very reason, he's got pulled off the track because he had already got out of the car. As we get set to turn them loose once again, it's going to be great to get some racing action. There's plenty of damage to cars, nursing injuries throughout this field as we get set to turn them loose for 10 more laps for the 10-car field. What are we going to see? Are we going to see the likes of J-Man going through as McDonald's wing flies off the car and sits on the track down at minus turn number 1 and 2? The yellow flags are out, and that's Jamie McDonald out of action there. Stephen Taylor's still on the gas, so like we say, there's plenty of cars out there nursing damage, and in particular front and rear wings. We'll check out the front wing on the car running in fourth. He's up high and watch it fly off up into the air. No drivers luckily collecting that. Almost gets Pickens, does in fact. So lights are out, and we've got a modified starting out of grid position number 4. So as lights are out and we get set to turn them loose once again, still 10 laps left to run here. Ray Griffin, Corbin Anderson off the front row. Who's going to run them down hard into minus turn number 1? It's going to be Corbin Anderson. keep an eye on this. Can the youngster dominate in the F2s? Can he dominate in the sprint cars? We're going to have to wait and see. Are we going to see the green rise to the top? Pickens rising up to the top line. Gets his way around the outside of Dam. Now sets his eyes onto the back of the Haikoki number 71 of Jamie McDonald. McDonald sporting that modified looking front end. As we've got Dam going around with a half spin down at Penrite number 1, turn 1 and 2. But at the moment, the battle on track. Stephen Taylor is coming for Corbin Anderson for that first and second spot. Pickens is picking them off one by one. Ray Griffin drops another spot to Michael Pickens. Pickens now sets his eyes onto the back of the Haikoki number 71. Tries to get up the inside as we see on screen right now. James McDonald doing a great job to hang on to that race car. Currently running in that third spot, but not for long because the man on a mission at this point in time is Michael Pickens. Corbin Anderson doing a great job hanging on to that lead. He hasn't won a feature here at Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway this season. But we're going to keep an eye to see as this one rolls out because second, third and fourth have closed up on the leader. He's lost a little bit of momentum. Dean Cooper lurking in the background as well, so watch and see what happens here as McDonald gets up into the second spot with no front wing. McDonald in the Haikoki 71 now running in second. Can he pull in our leader, Corbin Anderson? At the moment, Pickens goes round. Dean Cooper collects him down at Penrite, turn number 3 and 4. And once again, we've got another sprint car out there supporting front wing damage. Pickens in there behind Stephen Taylor. Does he fire it in too hard and it just goes around? Yeah, it does, all on his own, but here's that contact with Dean Cooper and just tries to drive over the front end of that car, and then light damage there to the front end, to the CRC. As the lights are out and we go green here at Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway, here comes James McDonald, Mr. Angry. Dam in there as well, wants a piece of the action. What are we going to see? Stephen Taylor in fourth. Ray Griffin and Heather Daniels round out our top 6. At the moment, it's Corbin Anderson's race to lose. He's doing everything he can. Still 23 laps left to run here at Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway. He's hanging on to this and driving it like a pro. Jamie McDonald running that Haikoki 71 without that front wing and doing a good job to hang on to it. But watch out, here comes the Hydralink, number 6K of James Dam. He wants a piece of the action. Like we say, the only car out there not sporting any damage at the moment seems to be Stephen Taylor and a couple of the back markers of Ray Griffin and Heather Daniels, so watch this space. 20 laps to go. Next time by for the Garrett Turbochargers All-Tech, number 69 man. Let's keep an eye on him. It'll be his first feature win here at Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway. If he can hang on to this one, what a way to go out here this season. What a year it's been, and what a way to finish off his year if he can bring this one home. At the moment, all the drivers stretched out on the racetrack, breathing distance between them all. Looks like James Dam just lost a little bit of momentum on the back of James McDonald. All the drivers seem to be just hanging on for dear life in this one. And the only man taking chunks out of our leader at the moment is this man on screen, Jamie McDonald. What can J-Mac bring home? He's been challenging that new Harris race cars all year. Anderson wings collapsed, and that's allowed Jamie McDonald to get up the inside. Corbin Anderson knows he's there. Has he given him the spot? And it looks like J-Mac goes through, so let's keep an eye on that front wing on Corbin Anderson's car. It's all out of shape. Those wing mounts have collapsed. And the man that actually has no wing now is in the lead. 15 laps to run in Noel Goodwin sprint car feature here tonight at Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway. The man who has had an interesting season, to say the least, Jamie McDonald. He sat out a few nights racing. He had Jamie Duff driving that car, getting on top of that Harris race car's chassis right at the end of the season. And here comes Mr. Angry himself, the 6K, finds himself into second. 12 laps to go, next time by for our leader. That wing just keeps looking worse and worse on Corbin Anderson's car. That's allowed Stephen Taylor now onto the back tail tank of that car, so let's keep an eye on that battle. Here it is on screen as we watch it unfold. 10 laps left to go for the man out front. Got to be careful here. He's already nursing damage to the front end to that car, so he's already going to lose a little bit of steering capability as he makes it look easy and navigates around the Sonic number 11 machine. J-Mac making it look easy as he drives that car towards one step closer to victory lane. Lee Rusher and the entire team down there, and J-Mac stable will be racked. What a way to go out with the season. A feature win would be so well deserved. But here is Stephen Taylor. He's now got around Corbin Anderson. He's moved up into the third spot. And Wink still hanging on for dear life on the front of Corbin Anderson's car. Evan Daniels finds himself running in fourth position now. Bet he never saw that coming, but he's got to finish the race first. Still the 6K of James Darm running in second. Stephen Taylor now navigates his way around the outside of Raymond Griffin with only a couple of laps left to go. 3 laps left to go for this man on screen. Making it look easy with no front wing at this point in time. Just nursing that race car home. Here's our second place man as J-Mac comes round. 2 laps left to go around Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway. As we say, the only drivers on track not nursing any damage, Stephen Taylor, Ray Griffin and Heather Daniels. All other drivers have a certain amount of damage to their race cars, but the white flag is out for Jamie McDonald and the Haikoki, number 71. So as he runs it down into Penrite turn number 3 and 4 for the final time, your feature race winner for the Noel Goodwin Sprint Car Memorial goes to Jamie McDonald. So as we check out the results, that is the entire field as it rolled out for the Noel Goodwin Sprint Car feature. Jamie McDonald takes the win from James Darm, Stephen Taylor, and the drivers that nursed at home and still hung on and ran home in the top 6. Corbin Anderson, Heather Daniels with a great drive, and Raymond Griffin bringing home 6 here in your feature here tonight for the finale at Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway.
Jamie here, well done Jamie, you've made us run all over the stadium, thanks a lot. But the sprint car feature, I bet you couldn't believe it when your front wing came off. You thought, oh, what am I going to do with this? But there you go.
Yeah, I don't know quite what happened. Both restarts, I ended up right up the back of someone crashing and busted the front twice, and absolute handful. But credit to these guys giving me such a good car that I could win the race with only one wing.
Well, that's it. Our season here winds up at Lucas Oil Western Springs Speedway, and what a great way to wind up our bonus show here on Sky. And what an interesting season it's been. COVID restrictions didn't allow us to have a crowd, but the racing went ahead, and some brilliant racing we have seen. And tonight, what a great way to wind up with our Legends Night here at Western Springs, and some crowd turning up as well. But we thought we'd wind the season up by giving a guy that actually spent some time in our commentary team and, as always, gave it always on the track in the number 11 sprint car. The last word goes to Jonathan Allard.
Jonathan Allard with the last word. Thank you guys for coming out. It's been a great season. It's great to see the fans back in the stands. Can't wait to see you here next year, and hopefully it'll be an exciting year like it was this year. That's Jonathan Allard with the last word.